Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Achakodash, Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, whom this world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai being the name of his only begotten Son, whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and mercy to the house of David, those men that are doing this work in sincerity and in truth across the four corners of the earth, and much love to the 130 believers out there. To you all, I say shalom and greetings, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying through the Spirit. All right. I think we're going to title this one. I'm trying to think of another word without saying children, but I might still put it. But ultimately, children that have been revived from death in the Bible. Because it happened a few times, and see, it's things going on in the spirit right now, and I'm constantly, we're throwing up prayers for brothers and brothers' lives and brothers' families, and we're going through a lot of things right now through the spirit, and brothers we gotta be able to look out for each other, pray for each other, support each other. Love each other, and ultimately believe what's written in this Bible and the things that the Lord can do for us, So I got a few accounts here that I want to discuss. I might not make this too long, it's all through the Spirit, but it was just something that was on my spirit to want to do. This is Mark 5, and I'm going to start at verse 22 here. It says, "And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue." I'm going to say Jairus. I mean, it's spelled like kind of like Jairus or Jairus, but I'm going to say Jairus through the Spirit. It says Jairus by name, and when he saw him, he fell at his feet. Right? He's talking about Yahweh Shai. He fell at Yahweh Shai's feet. Right? It says, and besought him greatly, saying, My little daughter lieth at the point of death. I pray thee, come and lay thy hands on her, that she may be healed, and she shall live. So this man Jairus, he had he believed in Yahweh Shai, right? He said he was one of the rulers of the synagogue, So this lets you know, even in your position and your pride, and he was probably, he could have been a Pharisee, a righteous Pharisee, but he had a high position. And he besought Yahweh Shai. He came and was pleading to Yahweh Shai to help save his daughter. Okay, he said that she may be healed and she may live, and she shall live. Okay, it says, and Yahweh Shai went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him. So he was going to help this man's daughter. But in doing so, I'm going to jump down, because in doing so, that's when you have the woman who had the issue of blood while people were following him, right? That's when the woman who had the issue of blood wanted to touch his garment. And the Lord said, daughter, thy faith have made thee whole, and her issue of blood went away. But I'm going to jump down to verse 35 to the continuing of the story. It says, while he yet spake, there came from the, make sure this is the right verse. Yep. While he yet spake, there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain which said, Thy daughter is dead. Why troublest thou the master any further? I'm going to read this in the NLT. It says, while he was still speaking to her, messengers arrived from the home of Jairus, the leader of the synagogue. They told him, Your daughter is dead. There's no use troubling the teacher now. Right? So they came and reported, so while Jairus, or Jairus, whichever you want to say, was walking with Yahweh Shai, right? They came and said, your daughter is dead, so you might as well let Yahweh Shai go, And so this is where you see their faith automatically stopped, okay? And there are men that are also have been saved in the Bible, but I wanted the Spirit today had me talking about children, all right, or youth at least. It says, as soon as Yahweh Shai heard the word that it was spoken, he saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, Be not afraid, only believe. Man, that's powerful, right? That's powerful. And to hear that from Yahushua, could you imagine those words coming out of his mouth when he just, Yahushua is standing there with this man, and somebody, just a messenger, came and said, hey, your daughter's dead. Leave, Yahushua alone. Let him go. And then Yahushua says, be not afraid, only believe. So don't worry about it. It's going to be all right. All right. And in the NLT, it says, but Yahushua overheard them and said to Jairus, don't be afraid. Just have faith. Man, that's powerful. And it says, and he suffered no man to follow him, save Peter and James and John, the brother of James. So at first he had a crowd, because remember, he had a multitude behind him when this happened. And right, it says, and he suffered no man to follow him. So he told all of them to stop where they were, or go elsewhere. But he only allowed Peter, James, and John follow him. Okay. And it says, and he cometh to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and seeth the tumult, and them that wept and wailed greatly. Because, at this point, he had his house. You got family members, the women, the children, the family is going crazy because of the death of the daughter, right? And she was, I believe she was 12 years old, too. She was a young girl. It says, and when he was come in, he saith unto them, why make ye this ado, and weep? The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. Right? And so, and you already know it. First of all, at this time, Yahushua is about to do a great miracle, but also, the people, of course, not really privy to everything that's going on, automatically count you out, but the Lord is like, hey, just be patient. But the Lord is saying she's just sleeping. But it says, and they laughed him to scorn. So they laughed at him when he said this, because they knew for a surety that the daughter was dead. It says, but when he had put them all out, so he told them all of them to get out the room. He says, he taketh the father and the mother of the damsel and them that were with him, and entered them where the damsel was laying. So then he took in the mother and the daughter, and he took in Peter, John, and James. Right? It says, and he took the damsel by the hand and said unto her, Talitha Kumi, which is being interpreted, damsel, I say unto thee, arise. So in the Hebrew, he says something along the lines of Talawatha Kwam, right? Because Talitha really means lamb, right? Like lamb or little lamb. Right, so Talawatha, Wath makes it woman. Tala is a lamb, right? So Talawatha, female lamb, right? So little lamb. Kumi is Kwam, which means to arise. So like little lamb, arise, which is being interpreted, damsel, I say unto thee, arise. And it says in NLT, holding her hand, he said unto her, Talitha Kum, which means little girl, get up. It says, and straightway the damsel arose and walked, for she was of the age of 12 years. Yep. And they were astonished with a great astonishment. You see? So she got up and she was walking around. The Lord took her by the hand. And see, this is all it takes through the Spirit. But we coming in those times where, brothers, the Lord says we're going to do greater things. It's coming into the times where we're going to do these things. We're going to put hands on family members, on other people's loved ones, and then we're going to say Talawath Kwam, and they're going to Talawath Kwam, and they're going to arise. Ba'ashem Hamashiach Yahushai, in the name of Yahushai, we're going to tell them to arise, right? And they don't talk about these powers and I'm, let's say it like this spiritual power, this beauty, this healing from sent on high from Yahweh B'Shem Shah. They don't talk about this in church. They don't believe this kind of stuff. They'll be ready to go to the hospitals. But Yahweh Shah is going to get his power to us. And for all you brothers who got things going on, hey, the Lord is how did the Lord say it? He says, be not afraid, only believe, brothers. So be not afraid, only believe, even though I know times are hard and, brothers going through things with their families. Be not afraid, only believe. The Lord is going to be able to sustain us and help us through these trying times. All right, so now I'm going to go to 2 Kings, the 4th chapter. All right, in verse 27, it says, and when she came to the man of God to the hill, she caught him by the feet, but Gehazi came near to thrust her away. And the man of God said, let her alone, for her soul is vexed within her. For the Lord hath hid it from me and hath not told me. Then she said, did I desire a son of my Lord? Did I not say, do not deceive me? Then he said to Gehazi, gird up thy loins and take my staff in thine hand and go thy way. If thou shalt meet any man, salute him not. And if any salute thee, answer him not again. And lay my staff upon the face of the child. And the mother of the child said, as the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her. And Gehazi passed on before them and laid the staff upon the face of the child, but there was neither voice nor hearing. Wherefore he went again to meet him and told him, saying, the child is not awaked. And when so they saying that the child was not awake, it wouldn't wake up. Ultimately this child was the Lord took it out. It says, and when Elisha was coming to the house, behold, the child was dead and laid upon his bed. You see, so the child was dead. He went in therefore and shut the door upon them twain and prayed unto Yahweh Shemel Shai, power of prayer. And he went up and lay upon the child and put his mouth upon his mouth and his eyes upon his eyes and his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. And matter of fact, I got a precept for that as well. That just reminded me of a precept, but you also got to remember, Elisha, did not Elisha gain double fold of the spirit from Elijah? Okay. This is Ecclesiastes 4:9. It says, two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. And that's what we do for each other through the Spirit. But it says, again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? So, it says here, the flesh of the child waxed warm when Elisha put his body against the child's body, right? It says, then he returned and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him. And the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. You see, a sneeze 7 times, completion. He was awake again. But what is through the Spirit, what is this replicating, right? And I'm forgetting the damn name of the machine now. But y'all know what I'm talking about. The damn machine, the cardiac machine that they use when they put it on your hospital, when they put it on your chest at the hospital and they go poof, poof. I'm tripping for not even thinking of the name. It's like not a respirator. Hold on, I got to look it up before I sound foolish. And I should know this for many reasons. Machine. AED, right? Yeah, it's for cardiac arrest. AED. Yeah, the defibrillator. That's what it's really called. And I should know that for multiple reasons. I had, training in that shit and multiple of my jobs, and even one big reason, more reason why. But a defibrillator, AED, a lot of facilities are supposed to have an AED, but a sneeze, right? They say when you sneeze, right? The reason, let's say, and I don't know, it is what it is. You can put the truth to it as much as you want, but they say when you sneeze, your heart stops. And that's why they say bless you, right? Hence, and you can't sneeze with your eyes open, right? It's because your heart contracts, right? So they say sneeze 7 times. So ultimately, this is like a jump start, right? When you get jumper cables to your car, right? And you start the engine, so the sneezing 7 times, like jump started him. It says, and the child opened his eyes. It says, and he called Gehazi and said, call this Shunammite. So he called her, and when she was coming into him, he said, "Take up thy son." Then she went in and fell at his feet and bowed herself to the ground and took up her son and went out. You see, so Elisha revived her child from the dead. Her child was dead. Her child was gone. You know, but through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, right? He said he went in and prayed, right? And so the child was revived. You know, all he did, yeah, he did all the other stuff, but it was the prayer that ultimately healed him, right? If we do anything in the name of Yahweh Shai, these things shall be done, all right? I'm going to go back to Elijah now. I'm kind of jumping in backwards motion, but it's all through the spirit. 1 Kings 17:17, it says, "And it came to pass after these things that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick. And his sickness was so sore that there was no breath left in him." And see, that's how you know Elisha was truly walking in Elijah's footsteps, because he healed someone from the dead, and Elisha did the same, right? It says, "And she said unto Elijah, What have I to do with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sin to remembrance and to slay my son? And he said unto her, Give me thy son. And he took him out of her bosom and carried him up into a loft, where he abode and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto Yahweh Basham Shai and said, O Lord, my power, hast thou also brought even upon the widow with whom I sojourned by slaying her son?" Because Elijah was staying with them, and the Lord was feeding them with cruise and oil and water and food, you know. But now he's like, man, Lord, help me. Like, this widow who I've been at, don't let her son die while I came to visit him. It says, "And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times. So didn't it say Elisha stretched himself upon the child too? It says, "And cried unto the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai and said, O Lord, my power, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. And the Lord heard the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived." You see, so through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, he was revived, right? He was dead, right? And now he's made alive. And he says, "And Elijah took the child and brought him down out of the chamber into the house and delivered him unto his mother. And Elijah said, See, thy son liveth. And the woman said to Elijah, Now by this I know that thou art a man of Yahweh Basham Shai, and that the word of the Lord in thy mouth is truth." You see, so now are we going to get to the point where does it have to be that case for the words of the Lord to be truth in our mouth? No. But a lot of people will have to, these situations are going to have to happen for people to see and for people to believe. Because some, we're blessed because we believe without seeing. But a lot of these people will have to see to believe, and the Lord is going to do these things for his name's sake. They're going to say, hey, what God do you serve? We're going to say Yahweh Basham Shai. Right. And so I got one more situation. This one's short. This is Acts 20:9. And it says, "And there sat in the window a certain young man named Eutychus, being fallen into a deep sleep. And as Paul was long preaching, he sunk down with sleep and fell down from the 3rd loft and was taken up dead." So this is a young man listening all night, listening to Paul give his sermon, right? Paul was long preaching all that night. And so he wanted to hear what Paul was talking about. But, since he was talking so long, he just kind of got sleepy. It says, "And Paul went down and fell on him and embracing him." See, so they all had that embrace. Excuse me. And like they said, they stretched their body upon the child. They were embracing the children, touching them, laying hands on them, just like Yahweh Shai did the daughter, laying hands on them. It says, "Trouble not yourselves, for his life is in him." When he therefore was come up again and had broken bread and eaten, he talked a long while, even till the break of day. So he departed, and they brought the young man alive and were not a little comforted. You see, so Paul brought Eutychus back from the dead. Eutychus was out of there. He fell down from a 3rd loft. So, this is like a 3rd story. What they say, the 3rd story. You're in a building that got 3 stories in the 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor. And he fell out the window listening to Paul speak. Right. So then he died falling out the window. So when Paul went down And he said he fell on him. So he embraced him. He put hands on him. And he, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, he brought him back to life. Right. And so and he was a young man. So, you know, there were young men and children that were delivered from death. Right. Let me see here. Yeah, I always think about King David. This is Psalms 118, and I'm going to start at verse 16. It says, it's such a good chapter. I'm going to start at 12. It says, they compass me about like bees. Sheesh. I forgot about that one. That's a good one because, you know, bees, they come a swarming. It says, they are quenched as the fire of thorns, for in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai will destroy them. Thou hast thrust sore at me that I might fall, but the Lord helped me. The Lord is my strength and song, and has become my salvation. And see, brothers, sometimes it can get really hard out here in Babylon, especially dealing with family and things that we going through. But hey, the Lord is going to help us. He's our song. He's our salvation. Right? They thrust sore at us. Right? They compass us like bees. The problems that we have, the enemies that we have. But the Lord is our strength. This is the voice of rejoicing, and salvation is in the tabernacles of the righteous. The right hand of the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai doeth valiantly. The right hand of the Lord is exalted. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly. That's Yahweh Shai. He says, I shall not die, but live and declare the works of Yahweh Shem Shai. And this is the point. It says, the Lord hath chastened me sore, but he hath not given me over unto death. You see that? So even those people, even though they died, they were not given over unto death because the Lord sustained them. You know, those works were not of those men, right? You know, those were of Yahweh. You know, you know, even Yahweh Shai, right? He was, he knew that it was through the spirit of Yahweh that he's able to do these things. And that's going to be through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Shai, are we going to be able to do those things? So keep having faith, brothers. Keep believing. Be not afraid. And thou believe. And the Lord is going to help us and our families and our children through all of these situations. So, hey, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Chakadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and mercy to the house of David. Until next time, Shalom.